Today, we are going over the easiest way to make an extra $33,000 in bookings for your salon. For those of you who don't know me, my name is MJ. I'm the founder of Chairflow, and we help salons increase the client rebooking rates with the systems we build out. So, how did we achieve this for our client? As you can see here, an extra $33,000. Well, we achieved this by a three-pillar strategy, right? Which consists of email campaigns, email automations, and email pop-ups. Email campaigns are manual broadcasts, right? These go out on a manual cadence that you send out to a specific segment of your list or the entirety of your list, right? These are focused on education, trends, and storytelling. These generated $13,000 of the $33,000. Then email automations, these are hands-off emails that are based on client behavior, right? And these generate $20,000. And then we had an email pop-up, which was quiz-based, right? So let's go over the email campaigns. So the first type of email campaign, let me just move this over here. The first type of email campaign we sent out was hair care tips, right? So educational. So this is, your maintenance, your hair care tips. It works because you position yourself from a service provider to an expert partner, right? So, people are very reciprocal, right? If you think of, anyone, your neighbor, a sibling, a friend, if they do something good for you, if they do a favor for you, there will be a high probability that you feel a sense of duty to do something good for them in return, maybe in the future or maybe instantly, right? And it's the same with your salon. If you do something good for your clients, right, you give them haircare tips on the best products to wash their hair, how to sleep with their hair, how to keep their hair fresh for a very long time, they will view you as priority over other salons because other salons aren't doing this, right? The second type of campaign that you could send out, which are the manual broadcasts, are celebrity desires, right? So the focus is celebs rocking the look. As you can see, we have Sabrina Carpenter here with some curls, right? And it works because of aspirational bias, right? Clients don't just want, a haircut. They don't just want, a hairstyle. They want the status. They want the confidence. They want the beauty, and they want to associate with, looking very good and feeling very good as well, right? So those are two types of campaigns that you could send out, right? And the third type is a founder story, right? What founder stories are is basically the why behind the salon, and maybe what you do on a daily basis, your personal struggles, your personal battles, right? As a founder of the salon, right? It works because it's kind of like a social contract, right? Because it is significantly harder for a person to switch to a competitor when they have a human connection with the owner, right? If they feel connected to you, if they feel like you are a close person to them, if they see you in the salon, etc., etc., they're not going to switch to another competitor. It's going to be a lot harder because you have that competitive edge. Because again, your salons that are competing with you are not doing this, right? Now let's go over the automations, right? To generate $20,000. So the automation trifecta is basically this, right? If you want to make money on a monthly basis on autopilot, you need to have these three automations running in the background set up correctly. Number one is the welcome automation, right? And then what this does, it nurtures new leads after they log into your pop-up, right? Secondly, is the rebooking automation. These are automatic SMSs and emails sent at a 4, 6, or 8 week post visit period, right? To get the clients to come back and increase the probability of them coming back. Because people typically don't come back because they forget, right? And most salons don't send reminders. They just complete a hairstyle and then they hope that, 6 or 8 weeks later, the person comes back, right? But what we aim to do is we aim to eliminate hope from the entirety of that equation, right? And we achieve this by having rebooking automations, right? And then an extended version of that is a win back automation, right? This reactivates clients who haven't visited in 60 or 90 days, right? And how it works is that basically after 60 or 90 days, you'd send them an email saying, hey, we miss you. And to prove that we miss you, we will give you, 5% off, 10% off, whatever the case may be. And then 3 days after that, you send them a reminder to use the discount. 3 days after that, you send them, another reminder. And maybe another 3 days after that, you let them know, hey, it's your last chance to use this discount as a way of exerting a bit of urgency, right? So these are the three automations that we implemented for at the salon. We added an extra $33,000 for, and as you can see, the results were an extra $33,000, rather $20,000. right? And then the email pop up, right? So if you are running some sort of advertisement to your website, whether it's Google ads, Facebook ads, whatever the case may be, if you do not have a way of capturing leads, you are missing out on a ton of money. Why? Well, if you're spending money on Meta or Google and customers are coming to your website, over 80% of them, over 90% of them are not going to make a booking with you, right? So what do you do with that 90% that are not booking? Well, you just lose them forever. They're going to go to a competitor, they're going to go elsewhere, and you lose them forever. People get busy. Maybe they were on your site and they got called, or etc., etc. So you need a way of capturing that email so that once they leave, or if they decide to book with you 2 weeks from now, you are in the vicinity, right? Vicinity meaning you are in that email inbox, right? So you need to have a way to capture that email, right? And if you do have an email, I assume that it just says join our newsletter, right? But the thing with that is, as I mentioned earlier, reciprocity is very important, right? People need a reason to join your newsletter, right? They're not just gonna join for the sake of joining because they have enough emails already, right? So a good way to get people to join is to offer a credit. Here we offer $20, right? And to make your pop-up even better in terms of conversion rate, to get a high conversion rate of people opting in, right? Make sure you have a quiz on there. Why? Well, because people love themselves more than anything in the world. People love answering questions about themselves, talking about themselves, right? So if you can have a quiz on there, right, which targets themselves and a credit, you are increasing the incentive and the probability of them giving you that email, right? It is also very, very important because of the segmentation, depending on the type of quiz you have. If your quiz is like this one, which talks about different hairstyles, if they pick a hairstyle, you can segment them or tag them in the back end based on the type of hairstyle they chose, and then your welcome flow can be specific and personalized to them based on the hairstyle they chose, right? So yeah, pretty complex stuff, but if you nail it, you're going to be making a lot of extra revenue when it comes to bookings via these automations and these email systems, right? So the recap: manual versus automated, right? The manual campaigns generated $13,000, right, give or take, and the automations generated about $20,000, right? So the conclusion is that automation provides the floor, right? Basically, automations, if I were to pick one for your salon, I would say focus on automations. Why? Well, because you are a salon owner, right? You get busy. So sending out, campaigns on a weekly basis can get very tiring, or you need to hire someone and that's extra labor costs, etc., etc. But when it comes to automations, you build them out once and they just print time and time again. If you want to be fancy, you can A/B test them, but you really don't need to, if I'm being honest. So if this is something you think you'd be open to, or maybe open to just testing out for your salon, we'll give you a 7-day free trial. We'll build out your welcome, win back, and rebooking automations for free. No retainer, no risk, no credit card, and we'll just see how many bookings you get. And if you're satisfied with that, then we can continue. Nonetheless, it has been myself, MJ. I hope you found this valuable, and good day, good night, and goodbye.